guys, so today I'm going to be reading some more Reddit stories for Halloween or Samhain or the Day of the Dead. So I've been up literally all night, and the reason why I'm not going to do this video with a red backlight is because it's actually starting to get bright outside. Luckily there's an overcast, but I really wanted to get to working on my channel. So, let me just get Reddit up and let me see what I can find, okay? Alright. Yeah. You know, some of these stories really scare me, you guys. Sorry, I gotta fix my eye. Some of these stories really scare me and have made me think, you know, there's a lot out there that you really gotta be careful. So I'm gonna do scary stalkers again. And posts. Let's see here. How do I get into it? Okay. Okay. Okay, so this is a story I'm going to try to read right here. It's kind of a shorter one, I think. So, this story goes as followed. I cannot tell you how scared I was growing up of my own little sister. I have two sisters that are twins, and one of the sisters was always different. Now, I am not bashing on anyone who has been diagnosed with a mental disorder, because I am not saying that all are the same or that every experience is going to be like this one. What I am saying is that my sister scared the living crap out of me, and sometimes I wonder if she was possessed or if she really did have all these mental illnesses. There was one night I ended up in my 20s living with my mother, who I never really got along with, and she had a husband who didn't seem to like me much either. So I was living in a basement that was basically, there was a path to get to a half-finished room that was full of dust, dog hair, and smelled like smoke because my parents, my mom and my stepdad, were smokers. My younger sisters, one of them had a room of their own, and that was supposed to be the one with, we will just call her, it says on here to call her by a fake name, which is, I guess she wanted to be called Mike. I don't know. Okay, so she wanted to be called Mike because not only did she have schizophrenia, but she had been diagnosed with multiple personality disorder, bipolar, many things since they were younger. I'd like to think that it was the divorce that did it, but my mother was very abusive before the divorce, so I can't say that was quite it. I would say she always wanted attention. She hated her twin, although they became very close in the future, and the other one started to act up, but not the same as Mike. And Mike is a girl. extremely scary. And this was at about, she did it twice from 8 to 12 to 13, 14 years old. She did it more than once, I'm sorry. I'm having trouble reading it because it's so small and my eyes are pretty tired. So, one day I was living in that house in this shitty basement that my mother, at least I can be grateful that I had a place to stay. I never really got along with my mother because of the abuse, how crazy, psychotic abusive I felt like she was when we were little. However, I always lived with my dad and I was fine with it, even though I found him to be a bit strange, talking to himself, to the point where my friends all got creeped out when they came over and he came home from work and they heard him talking and they asked me, who is he talking to? And I said himself, and then I realized nothing in my family is normal. So anyways, back to Mike, or my sister. She basically got mad at me about something because as her twin, she always wanted me to choose between the two of them, which I didn't like to do. I wanted to get along and I was getting too old for this crap. They were very spoiled when they were younger, but they liked to play victim. And I noticed that Mike never really got better. So basically, I had gotten into a fight with Mike and she was acting very strange. I was asleep on my bed because I worked and I was in college and I had to walk everywhere. So I had to walk to my work and I had to walk to my school. If it wasn't so close or within walking distance, I would have had to take the bus. But I was lucky enough that I could walk. However, I was exhausted from studying, from going to work at a restaurant. So one evening I was taking a nap after getting off of work and I woke up to Mike standing over me with scissors. I said, what in? I was always the biggest and toughest of sisters. Sorry, I missed that part. But I was terrified at this point because she had always been acting like a frickin' wacko. Once again, non-insulting mental disorders, but I think this is something else. I think she is something else. She was standing over me with scissors and she said, in a weird voice that sounded like she turned into a little boy, so it almost did sound real, like they say multiple personality does. She said, I want to kill you, and I will kill you. And I didn't know what to do besides say, what the fuck, and get up and sprint out of bed and run away from her because she was not as fast as me, as I was into fitness, and she was very odd and did not have very good stride to her walk. I was freaked out, and her twin had told me that it was worse for her because back before I ever came along, her twin, Mike, who is a woman, girl, tried to kill her, literally with a knife, because she got upset that she didn't get what she wanted. Then there was another time where I was hanging out with her twin, and I noticed that she was looking very upset with this bad attitude on her face. And she said, after a moment of sitting there staring at me with these cold, jealous, childlike but empty eyes, she said to me, you don't care about me, you don't love me, you just love her, you love my twin. The twin said, please please don't start doing this not right now. And I said, you're a wacko. And I do not appreciate you always wanting all the attention. It's sickening, really. You got spoiled growing up and you act like you had it so bad because our mother was abusive. But when we were younger, she did it to me and our older sister the most. So I don't understand what your issue is. I said you need to grow up because you are weird and awkward and nobody is going to like you. So then she stomped off up the stairs out of the basement and went and told my mom, who basically blew it off because she got tired of Mike always coming to her with all these problems. So then one day I was alone with her at home and I heard some really strange noises. I swear, I am so creeped out by my own blood, I don't even know what to think about it. But I have avoided her for quite some time after I got out of that house and was able to make it on my own, as I couldn't get along with my mother or that weirdo Mike or my mother's husband for the life of me. Their house was so filthy and disgusting, and then on top of it, the craziness. So basically what I did is I was home alone and I heard some really weird voices as if two people were talking. I thought maybe our twin and Mike were playing a game, but then I remembered that her twin was not there. Her twin actually had a boyfriend at this point. She was about 15 years old. So she had a boyfriend and she was out hanging out with her boyfriend, which she had been doing quite often lately. Even spending the night at his house to get away from the craziness of this place. I was very creeped out, and I tried to creep and creep and creep and get closer to her room, which was actually upstairs. Like I said, I couldn't share a room with her. I shared a room with her twin. So I get closer and closer to the door, and the more close I get, the more freaked out I get because I don't know what to expect. I've seen her done some weird things over my life, not to backtrack, but I've seen her actually tell me the creepiest things during a thunderstorm one time when I was watching her and her twin alone at my mom's apartment back before I was an adult. She had said that some lady with really sharp teeth that was super skinny and had a ukulele would come down and sing "The Best Time to Be," some song that just didn't make any sense. The best time to be alive is blah blah blah, and I couldn't remember the rest of the song, but it just creeped me out so much. Honestly, I don't even care. So I've seen my sister do a lot of creepy things, and a lot of which I cannot even remember or tell you. All I know is she creeps me out, but this particular instance I remember. I'm getting closer and closer to her door. I hear a boy's voice, like a little boy, and then I hear her voice, but it sounds different. I don't know what was different about it. It was just super creepy. They were talking back and forth. They were like, "What are we going to do?" The boy said, "What are we going to do?" And Michelle said, "I don't know. I'm tired of that bitch. All she ever does is thinks that she's tougher than everyone else. She thinks I want all of the attention. I just want her dead." The little boy said, in the little boy voice, "Now would be the perfect time to do it, and you could get away with it. You're underage. You would only go to the mental hospital. I don't think they would put you in a regular prison, and then you could be out before you know it." And Michelle said, "Yes, but what if it doesn't work out that way?" Michelle is her real name. I slipped up. Mike, Michelle. But it was almost as if she was talking to Mike, or became Mike. But she was like, I want to kill that bitch so bad. I want to watch her suffer. I'm sick of her thinking she's tougher than everyone else. I'm sick of her getting all the attention. I'm sick of her thinking that she knows how to do things and no one else does. I'm sick of her having all the knowledge and the benefit of being able to feel like a normal person. I never get treated normal, and I'm sick of it. And the little boy said, well, now is the time. Now is the time to get it done. I was so freaked out. I wanted to go pack my bags, but I didn't want to make too much noise. So I slowly started to creep back, and I went to where the basement was, the door that led to the basement to get to my room, even though I was afraid to get trapped down in the basement. For some reason, I had the most horrible gut feeling that if she found out that I had hurt her, that she, or maybe her demon or whatever it was, I don't even want to say it was a demon, I think it was, she's just really that crazy and creepy, that she could lock me in the basement, even though there's no lock. She could keep me trapped down there somehow. So I called a friend and I said, please come let me stay by you. I cannot take this anymore. My little sister is creeping me out. This house is disgusting, and her twin is never home anyway, so I just gotta get out of here. And I explained what she said, and they agreed I should leave. So I kept creeping, and as soon as I got to the basement door, I was able to open it quietly, and I continued quietly down the stairs. I had the worst stomachache you could ever imagine from these gut feelings that felt absolutely horrible. I got downstairs, I packed my bags, and as soon as I went to go out the door of my bedroom, because this bedroom did have a door that led out to the basement, it opened, and my own sister looked like a crazed idiot. She terrified the living crap out of me. She said, where do you think you're going? And I said, the heck away from you. I said, who the hell were you talking to? She said, none of your business. You think you know everything. You think you're better than everyone else. She said, I don't think it's none of your business. And I said, well, I don't care if it's any of my business or not. You need to move away from that door. And I said, what do you got? Do you got behind your back? Because she had one hand behind her back. I didn't know if it was a knife or some other kind of a weapon. But it scared me so bad. I began to really panic, but I still felt like at least it's her. So then I said, get out of my way, I'm leaving. She said, if you leave, you'll still come back. I don't want you ever to come back. sister was super skinny. As I had more muscle, I just front kicked her so hard she went flying back. And then I ran out of the basement up the stairs. But to my demise and my surprise, she got right back up, grabbed the knife, and ran right after me. She was stabbing at my feet as I ran, and I fell because I was so scared and so nervous. She was stabbing at my legs and my feet as I fell, and I got back up as quickly as I could and tried to open the door, but I swear for a second there I couldn't get the door open. And I don't think that it was the door, because this was not a door that you could lock, and it was easily to open normal. It was easy to open normally. So I opened it, and there was nothing there. I ran out the door, and I tried to shut her in the basement, but all of a sudden it was like she had superhuman strength, and her eyes were black, and her skin was super pale, and it just looked so creepy the way she had her eyelashes all pulled out, and everything just looked 10 times creepier. The way she dressed, the way she walked, the way she talked, everything about her. She came at me, and she seemed stronger. It freaked me out so bad. Just then her twin came walking in with her boyfriend, and I was like, no, I was like, please get the heck out of here, you guys, go. And they were like, no, what's going on? And they seen Michelle, and all of a sudden their faces turned white. I said, there's something not right here. Go! Let's get the hell out of here. So we all ran towards the front door, and we bolted out. We ran down the street, and they asked me, my sister and her boyfriend, they asked me what happened. I explained it to them, and they were entirely creeped out. Her twin no longer wanted to stay there. Her twin no longer wanted to live there. So, basically, I decided that I wanted to go live with a friend who later became my boyfriend, and her twin ended up living with my father, who had a lot of people living with him, and it was very uncomfortable for her, but she says she still felt safer in some ways. It wasn't much of a choice, but she still felt safer than that day and what she saw and what I told her about Michelle. Now, she also said that Michelle had done things like this to her before, and it terrified her, but she didn't know what to do because it seemed as though my mother and her husband didn't care. They just wanted both of us gone. They wanted all of us gone. So after that, my sister Michelle tried calling me, and I did not want to talk to her. I moved away, and I avoided her as much as possible. So then, after she turned 18, she got chaptered and put into group homes and everything for her mental illness and for the way she acted. Somehow she magically got off of being chaptered after so many times of being told she would never get off of it. And then, when she got off of it, a fear struck inside of me. Is she gonna come and try to find me? What if I wake up again with scissors over my head? What if she tries to kill me, or her twin, or anyone? She had a strong disdain. I had learned over the years, hearing about her in group homes. She became a quote-unquote Christian because Christians would give her a home, a place to live, and she would give them some fake lie sob story or exaggerated sob story. She said she was beat and she was raped by me, or she was beat by me and raped by my mom's boyfriends. And then when she got off of being chaptered, somehow it was almost if it was magic. country and disappeared for 3 months. Finally, when we heard about her from her after she left the Christians after getting off of being chaptered, she went all the way to Florida and she made friends and joined lots of churches down there where she would go from church family to church, telling them this sob story. But when they figured out how she really was, they no longer wanted anything to do with her, especially with her disdain for younger girls, because she felt she had missed out on her childhood and that she wanted to be a little girl. And she hated, according to a pastor that reached out to me, she hated when any little girl got any kind of attention. So I have avoided her over all these years. I get even more terrified now thinking about it. I mean, she is getting older. She is about 30 now. And I don't understand why these Christian people would believe a story as if she's telling it like she's 19 years old and ran away from home. I live all the way far from Florida, so I don't understand how these people could just let her in their home, especially with children and especially with daughters. But I do not concern myself with it anymore. I hear things from time to time. She's also an expert pranker using prank apps and prank websites to try to get a hold of me and other people who do not want nothing to do with her. The same pastor that reached out to me also said that she had been pranking them, anyone in the church that she had the number, and she also did some other bizarre things with fart spray, fake poop, and there were rumors of her wanting to put X-Lax in brownies at church, which concerned the pastor because he did not want any elderly or children or anyone with a disorder of the stomach to be hurt. It could kill them. It's almost as if it is the same as poisoning someone. But like I said, I keep my distance and I hope to stay away from her the rest of my life. I don't know how scary other people would think it is, but when you actually see it yourself, you may understand. If you were to actually see her and how skinny she is, she's taller than me, and she's skinny, and she's walks funny, and she's awkward, and she has no friends. She scares me, and I try to avoid her. I know I could take her, but it's just the fact of the matter. There's something really wrong with her. And that's how I grew up. And that's the end of that. So, that's a little creepy. Yeah. So, let me see if I can find another one. Maybe a shorter one. Okay, this one's called The Ex-Boyfriend That I Didn't Realize, and I believe now was a Satanist. I have a skewed view on Satanism. I am a Christian, however, I am open-minded. But one thing I've learned over the years is I dated someone twice my age, and it just so turned out that I was very naive. He had signs of witchcraft all over. I had studied Wicca when I was younger, in my younger teens, so I knew about witchcraft and Wicca and all different kinds of cultures and everything. But I never really thought, I thought he was just really high and heavily into death metal. So, as I first met him, the creepiest things happened, and throughout the entire relationship and knowing him, the creepiest things happened. He decided he wanted to do EVP. He he also, I believe, was a Satanist, which I want to point out, I think is ironic, because if you believe in Satan and you're going to worship Satan, then you're clearly a Christian. Christianity is the religion that believes in Satan, Lucifer, whatever you want to call him. So, my creepy story is he wanted to do EVP. And he said that when we weren't living together, he had a room somewhere, and he had heard knocking around the same time every morning. He decided, because he had high-tech equipment that could bring up sound, as he liked to, he owned his own little recording studio in our town, where people trying to get famous would come and record things, but he knew how to bring sounds up and play with the sounds. So he took and he recorded the bang, and it was the most creepiest thing I had ever heard. It was something that it sounded like a crackle, a crack, and then it sounded like something came from another dimension. The knocking was not knocking, it was a crack in energy. It said bang, 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 wake, 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 she needs you. When he brought it up on the computer the next day, he insisted that I listen to it, and I thought that he made it himself. And he said, but I told you there was a banging every day around this time. And I said, I understand. However, this doesn't make sense. So then after that, he continued to do EVP, getting more and more deep into it. Yet, when he was drunk, he would tell me stories about being part of a coven back in Boston, Massachusetts. And I just never really took it seriously or understood exactly what a coven was. So, I was like, whatever. But when he started messing with the EVP and got me to help him with it, I started to see things. I started to have, I witnessed as pictures flew off the walls. I witnessed as he woke up screaming and had marks, scratch marks that didn't look human on his arms. I even heard something call my name when we stayed at a hotel once. He was half asleep and he said, do you hear it? I was trying to wake him up, and all of a sudden I heard my name said in this weird voice, like robotic voice, and it creeped me out. Then the light shut off. I thought the bulb went out, but when I checked the light switch had turned down. Then he started, my ex now, my boyfriend at the time, he got bubble letters in his skin. The bubble letters in English were as clear as day, but when you actually wrote them down, they made no coherent sentences or words. We were so freaked out, and it continued for hours, that we went over to his friend's house and showed his friend and his friend's dad and his friends and his other friends that were over drinking at the time, just so that we wouldn't feel crazy that what we saw. Then I had been sleeping over at his house, or his apartment. He had now had an apartment, and one day when I was sleeping, I felt a big bounce on the bed. I was awoke, and I had to go to work at like 5 or 6 in the morning. And as I was asleep, laying there, and I bounced in the air, I looked over, and I said, what is your issue? Why'd you have to do that? You know I work in the morning. And he said, no, I was just on another planet, and I was just on an alien spaceship, and it sounded so real, and he was so terrified, and it didn't seem as though he was faking it for attention. And the fact that he bounced so high and made me bounce so high onto the bed, it was as if he came from the ceiling. He said there were all kind of creatures up there. It's like Noah's Ark, but they were doing experiments on all the creatures. He said, I never want to go back. I never want to go back. Eventually, I ended up breaking up with him, and in the process of breaking up with him, he tried to make me jealous. He found a girl that looked just like me and had her drink Skull vodka and then put some red dye in the water and had her lick it and take pictures. He used photography as his new thing, so he would take naked pictures of other women that looked rather trashy in my opinion, but I was quite jealous. I just didn't care because I didn't understand where these women came from so quickly after we broke up. Then I went over to visit him one time because he was in horrible shape. He wanted to kill himself. He said he was hearing voices, and I could feel all these bad things and energy around him. I seen that in the middle of his living room he had deer horns, deer antlers, stuck to a plate, and he had red candles burned down. Something clicked in my head, something I never realized before. His book collection also had a very strange selection of Satanic and Wiccan books. Not saying Wiccan is satanic, but just saying that there was a weird variety of books. It started to click in my head that he may be a Satanist. The whole thing about being in a coven, I looked it up and I realized he may have very well been a part of that. And the EVP brought out even more bad stuff, to the point where he would call me crying with a gun to his head, wanting to kill himself, and I would stop him. I told him he needed to get help bad, and he did. But it was never really the same, because even when we were together, something I forgot to mention is he was super abusive. He is what you would call a gaslighter in psychology, and they are very difficult, and you can be affected by for a long time, which I have been. But I finally gave up on talking to him. I don't know why I always wanted to talk to him. It was like there was a magnet drawing me to him. But I finally gave up. And I am so freaked out. And I can't even talk to people about all these memories because who really wants to hear it and who's really gonna believe me? But one thing I can say is that if someone says they mess around with that kind of stuff, it's probably best that if you don't believe in it, to stay away. You see, not only did he, I will end on this note, it says, not only did he do that and worship that and try to be in denial, and then when he was drunk he would tell the truth, he tried to convince me to go against God, the God I believe in, which is Jesus Christ. I refused, and he said to me, well, why would you worship a God that just wants you to fear him and be guilty? He said, when I go to hell, I will be a ruler in hell. And I told him, I said, I've seen the things that were around you when you were doing EVP. I seen you try to kill yourself. I felt the presence of the things that were so evil that they haunted me for a while, and they finally don't anymore. And I will tell you why I believe in the God that I believe in. Because I don't like how that felt being around you and what you went through. So I do not want to worship whatever you worship. I do not want to go to hell if that's what hell feels like. Those things that surrounded you, that scratched you, that made the pictures fall off the walls, that put bubbles in your skin, that made you want to kill yourself. I want nothing to do with it. So if you think that that's so great, and you think you have a place in hell, demons lie. And I will never, ever turn my back on my God. And that actually helped me in my religion, to believing in God and putting faith. I seen the worst evil, and it wasn't of this world. And I will never forget it. Oh, goodness. Sorry, guys, I'm getting so tired. It was hard to read. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed those stories. Those were kind of creepy. Actually, at least eye-opening, if anything, right? Eye-opening, eye-opening. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this video, and I hope you guys that enjoy these scary Reddit videos or scary videos, I hope you get some sleep. I don't know how you do it, but